almost quivering. He's in so much pain, but he's trying not to let it show. And I was driving pretty fast to get to Decatur to get his finger sewed up. And I get to smelling something. The smell got stronger and stronger. And I think, I know he's in a lot of pain, but I think he shit his pants.
Hey, hit that subscribe button now. You're going to like it. Welcome to the Luke Branquinho Show. Most people knew about this show, but my next guest, it was new to him, so it's a pleasure to have him on to experience for the first time the Luke Branquinho Show. And as the guest, we're going to talk about all kinds of things that I have personally heard, but I don't know that a lot of the fans have. Cody, thanks for joining me.
Hey, thanks, Luke. I'm sorry I didn't know you had a show.
Well, really, I'm not surprised because I know how technologically, I don't want to say it, advanced you are.
I tell my team that social media steals your soul. I try to keep mine.
Two guys you rodeo with, and I know them fairly decent. Ty Murray and Tuff Hedeman. They have that, but to me, they're on two separate ends of the spectrum. And you could tell me if I'm wrong. Ty Murray was business oriented and focused and worked out and strived for excellence outside of the arena as far as being in shape. Now, Tuff, on the other hand, from what I wasn't quite that way on the outside of the arena. He was all about winning, had that gear, but it was kind of complete opposites.
Well, he liked that perception too. He was in great shape and physically, and he did whatever it took to win. And so, yes and no. He was a closet athlete. He would work out when nobody's looking, but he'd play hard. He would play really hard, but at the same time, whatever it took to get the job done, and he liked to say, well, anybody can hold their breath for 8 seconds or something, something like that. But at the end of the day, when I was talking about growing up galloping those thoroughbreds and stuff, he spent hours and hours on the track on those kind of horses and developed a balance and a feel he got himself conditioned to the point that he didn't get out of shape. So right. I know what you're getting at. Ty worked his whole life he wanted to be the best all-around cowboy ever. And he wanted to beat Larry Mahan's record of 6 all-around championships. And he worked as hard as he did to reach that goal. But he did it from the time he was a little kid. He took gymnastics because he knew it would help his balance and his core strength and things like that as a little kid.
Right. Someone
told him if you rode a unicycle, that it'd help your balance. So he got a unicycle and started riding around. And then they said it'd help your hand-eye coordination if you learn how to juggle. So he's riding a unicycle around juggling at 9 or 10 years old, and he's not doing that to be a great juggler. His dream's not to be a great gymnast or a great juggler or a great unicycle rider. His dream is to beat Larry Mahan's record. And so he wants to win 7 all-around championships. And so he worked so hard at it. But what I saw out of Ty that I've never seen out of anybody, that just didn't exist in my day, was when he had the injuries, he rehabbed the injuries where he came back better. And he had 2 shoulder surgeries and 2 knee surgeries in 3 years, in 2.5 years. And after that, after being on the sideline for over 2 years, mostly on the sideline, he comes back, and the first bull he gets on, the very first one, he didn't get on a practice bull. He enters Reno PBR, and a bull of Don Kish's called Vindicator bucks him off, has him reared back, a rank bull, has him reared back and bucks him off, and he landed in the splits, just straight out wide like that. And he didn't put a hand down on the ground. He just jumped up. And, he's ready. He's ready to go.
Oh, so, it just splits.
So he had worked so hard. He had worked so hard to be so ready that I'd never seen anybody I'd never seen anybody at that time. Now guys do that. They're a lot better. But a lot of them learned it from Ty. They learned, or the sports medicine guys learned it from Ty, because Ty was ahead of his time on that. And it was always real to him. He wasn't there. He didn't fake an injury. Like if he's banged up a little bit, he's fine. He's ready to go. He was a tough cowboy, but right. He was really hurt. When he had something that was really wrong with him, he got the surgery, got it well, and got it back to even better than it was before he got hurt.
Well, and obviously it shows the what he's won in his career, and like you said, he did things to make him better, not the things that he didn't want to be a circus star. Those things made him better for the arena. And I think you're right. When I first started rodeoing in 2000, was my rookie year. It was, you'd go to the rodeo, you might maybe not watch the event you were entered in. Then you'd go to the beer stand at the rodeo. Then you'd go to the bar after. Then you get up in the morning. If you're in slack, you were hungover. That was 2000, and I could see, and it was neat to see the change from 2000 to now, how not just the Bulldogs, but all athletes in all events have, this is a business. Now it's taking care of business. You go watch your event, you go eat, you work out, you go to bed at a decent hour. I mean, the beer stands have struggled since these cowboys started becoming athletes, I guess you should say.
Yeah, a lot. I got to see that change too. The first year I made the NFR was in 1981 in the bronc riding, and in the 7th round I got bucked off a mare of Brookman's called Powder Face, and I landed right on my ass and broke my tailbone, and it hurt. It hurt so bad. For the 8th, 9th, and 10th rounds, I couldn't sit in my saddle on the ground. I couldn't check it or rosin it or anything. I just couldn't. It hurt too much. And every time I got off, I'd walk. They had the Justin Sports Medicine at the NFR. It was a new thing. It was like the first or second year they'd ever had it. And Dr. Evans was there, and Don Andrews was there, and it was in between. And we were all in one big locker room there in Oklahoma City. And it was right before you got to the locker room when you're walking by. And I wanted to go in there so bad to get some kind of relief for my pain. But I was looking at Jack Ward and Wasey Cathy, and those guys walked right past it. So they were on their way to the beer stand. And so I went to the beer stand too. Those are the guys that the heroes that I were looking up to had not gone down that path yet. So
they were rising from the inside.
Yes. And so that's how I tried to fix it too. So I wanted to stop by there, but I wasn't going to do it until I saw one of those guys, one of those old veterans in there.
Oh yeah.
If I'd have seen that, then I'd have been there.
So we transitioned from rodeo cowboys to rodeo athletes.
Yeah.
It was neat to see the in-between, and for me, from 2000 to now, how it's progressed to what it is. And rightfully so. I mean, these guys are spending a shit ton of money going up and down the road, and fuel and vehicles and trailers and horses and everything. I mean, it doesn't take long. You know as anybody, it doesn't take long before the bank's calling like, hey, are you going to pay this credit card bill? Or, so understand, you better take care of yourself and your livestock and all that, just to be able to pay off the bankers.
Yeah, and they still have a great time doing it. They still have, they're still characters and personalities and stuff. They're just better at it. Because every generation got a little better, and we learned from them, and we learned to take care of business a little better, and then the next ones did it a little better yet. Doesn't mean they rode better or bulldog better. They just did it. They took better care of business at a point, and some of them ride better, and some of them bulldog better, and some of them still don't. Like Homer Pettigrew, if he was around today, he'd still be a contender because he'd up his game. If you were around today, you'd up your game. If Ty Murray if Tuff Hedeman was competing, if Jim, those guys, those winners would be winners in today's world too.
Right.
But they take care of business in a little different manner than they did in their day.
Speaking of business, and I don't have the exact year, which I know you'll tell me. You guys met in a little town in California called Paso Robles I believe it's Paso Robles. You guys met with a gentleman named Randy Bernard. Yeah, in 92 and 93, Randy called me out of the blue in 92, and he said that they had a rodeo at the California Mid-State Fair, and they do well on. I have never heard of Randy. I had no idea who he was, how he got my phone number or anything, but he said that they struggled on Thursday night. That Cotton had their rodeo, and they did well on Friday and Saturday, and they've been struggling, and they were looking for something, and at that time in the middle of the summer, me and Ty was number one in the all around, and I was number two by a long right.
way. And so we're going to match each other. Randy wanted to know if we would match on a bronc and a bull. And it was an August rodeo, and it wasn't a very big rodeo, and we didn't want to go, and so I just told him what I thought was just an outrageous price. I asked Ty about it. Ty said, well, I'll go if you want to. I don't, didn't care one way or another on that. And I told Randy, I thought I'd just price him out of it, wanting us there. And in 1992, I said, if you get our plane tickets and our rooms and pick us up at the airport and pay all of our expenses and our entry fees and give us $2,500 a piece, and I thought that he's got a little rodeo, he's not going to be able to afford that. And he said, done. And so we fly in to San Luis, and they pick us up in a limo and take us down there and treat us like celebrities, and we matched, and Ty beat me again, and
he outdrew you.
Yeah, that's what it was. And so they really advertised that we were matching that night, and they sold out that night's performance. And Randy knew how to sell like that, and he was a young guy. And so we did it again the next year. And so in 94, we had gotten the PBR going, and so we talked to Randy about maybe having that rather than having us match on Thursday night, have a PBR bull riding. And so we get there, and we're meeting with Randy, and we're at his office and talking to him and stuff. And we understood that he was leaving California, and he was actually going to go interview for a job with the PRCA at the time. And we asked Randy if he could, while he's in Colorado Springs, could he meet with this guy? This Doug Quimby was helping us with stuff. Could he meet? And Randy said no, he didn't feel good about that because he's going to meet with the PRCA already. So he flew to Colorado Springs, interviewed for a job with the PRCA, flew back to San Luis Obispo, turns around, buys a ticket on it with his own money, flies back to Colorado Springs to meet with our guy because he didn't feel like it was right meeting on the PRCA's dime.
Right.
And so and then we hired him that year, and then he took us along. He helped us a great deal. We had a pretty good product, but it immediately got better. We had a pretty good idea of what we wanted to do, and we wanted to improve bull riding, but we had no idea how, no direction. And he was a 25-year-old guy that could see stuff that the rest of us couldn't even begin to dream about.
Well, it's a neat story. The 2 years before that, the match between you and Ty, and a lot of people, I guess, that I talked to were under the assumption that was where the PBR started, was out there, which it wasn't. You guys got together as a group, and there was 10 of you guys.
There was 11 or 12 of us in Scottsdale in '92, in April of '92. So when we went and did the matches for Ty, we had already, or for Randy, we had already we had already formed the PBR, but it hadn't really got off the ground. '94 was the first year we had a season and a finals, and August of '94 is when we talked to Randy about going to workforce. So he came and helped us at our finals in November of '94, but he didn't really officially go to workforce until January of '95.
But it was just, like I said, 11, 12 cowboys with an idea to make the sport better, to grow the sport. And I mean, look where it is now today. And that, again, brings me to, from the PBR start with the 11, 12 of you guys, and then to where it is now with, the PBR World Finals, where the winner gets $1 million. Now with the PBR teams, it's amazing how much it's exploded and grown into what it is because of a dream of, 10 or 11 or 12 cowboys.
I've learned over the years, if you're trying to do the right thing, it might not work out exactly like you're thinking, but it'll eventually work out. If you're trying, if you're in it for the right reasons and you're trying to do the right thing. And we were trying to improve the sport. We were trying to take the bull riding, which we had the shortest careers of anybody, and it was the fan favorite event that in rodeo, historically the last event of the night, because they want to keep the crowd there and they want it to be exciting like that. We felt like we could present it in a better way than it had been, and we felt like we didn't invent bull riding, and we didn't invent the standalone bull riding. There were jackpot bull ridings before us. There was the bull riders only came along, but we wanted it to be a legitimate sport. We wanted it to be a real sport because we felt like that's what we all wanted. And the guys that were starting it, some of us had been around during the Winston Tour in the PRCA in 1985 and '86, and those were just such great rodeos. And they were team rodeos, but they were PRCA, kind of like the NFR. They had the best guys and the best stock every time, and we learned so much from that. At the time, the PRCA wasn't ready for that. The membership had 7,000 members, and only top 18 in each event get to go, and all these other members were saying, why can't we go? Why don't we get to go? And then later on, I found out that in 1959 that they said that the same thing about the NFR. Wait, we got a card. Why would you only let these guys go? We couldn't fight the numbers or anything like that. We couldn't do that, and we weren't out to go against rodeo. That's a misconception out there, because we were all rodeo guys and had been our whole lives. We just felt like our event, we could present it in a different way. It's like, and then we got a rap that was like we were anti-rodeo, because Randy used it to the advantage, because he in our opening he'd say, ladies and gentlemen, this is not a rodeo. This is the one and only PBR. And so that would be our opening statement. It wasn't meant to say we didn't like rodeo or anything like that. It was, this is how we're going to do it. If the boss doesn't want to do it your way, and you feel strong enough that your way will work, you might form your own company. And so that's kind of what we did, and it took off. And we wanted it to be presented as a legitimate sport, and we wanted the integrity of the competition to be so meaningful that we're looked at as a major league sport. We want rodeo to be that way too. We want it to be real, because that's what sets us apart from everything else. Is if you don't win, you don't get paid, and it's so real.
Well, it is, and to me, it's helped enhance, I think, the Western way of life and rodeo itself, because you have fans of bull riding that were fans of just PBR now are looking into the Western side of it and seeing, okay, rodeo, we got more events, more Western culture to watch, and I think it's helped grow just the industry as a whole, which we need. I mean, obviously,
and that was the plan. We wanted to bring in more fans. We wanted to bring in more fans that hadn't seen a rodeo before. And bull riding's really real simple to understand. He either rode him or he didn't, like that. Either the bull bucked him off or he rode him 8 seconds. It's hard to do, but it's a simple event.
Simple event, and there's been some, I don't know if you call them haters, but criticism of PBR teams because you took a simple event, now you're adding it to a team's value. But last year, the inaugural season, you guys had a great season. I know obviously you didn't win first like you set out to, but 3 events, no other team had won 3 events. What is your take on the teams deal? Obviously, I know you love it, but to hear these people say how it's making it harder to understand.
I did hear that, and I don't want it to be harder to understand, but I think it's easy enough to follow that if you're any kind of a sports fan, that you can follow it easy enough. And if you're a rodeo fan or a bull riding fan, you can definitely follow it easy enough. But what I saw, I was excited about it because I liked the team concept, because I liked the Winston Tour. I loved it when I was in college rodeo and we were a team.
Right.
I loved it when my traveling partners and I felt like we were a team. I always loved that. So anyway, and that's what I've done since I traveled with guys that were younger than me, because I felt like I had something to help them with. And then I've had guys that come and stay here and every event, because they're all relatable. And when you can work on somebody's mental, like if I didn't know enough about calf roping, I could still help Cade a little bit by working on his mental game and his focus, because I could see, because of the mistakes that I've made in my life, I can help somebody learn from my mistakes. So I always loved that. So when the opportunity to be a coach of a team came up, it was the job I've been looking for, I think.
Well, and so speaking of Cade, you have a tie-down roper, many-time national finalist, who has always loved bull riding. He's watched it, but he's your assistant coach. You take a guy like that who has maybe not been on a bull, but understands the team concept, understands winning, understands the mental aspect, and he could help implement that into your young bull riders, where you're on the side of, you need to sit up on your rope, you need to, keep your chest out, whatever.
And he understands the work ethic that it takes, but I also needed somebody that was in between my age and their age, so we could talk to them about the social media or figure out what their next move was as a young guy,
right.
And I needed somebody that could understand where I'm coming from, but could relate to them. So he was the right age and everything, as well as being a competitor, and he played sports and those sort of things. He's a great fit for me. As my son suggested him to me one day. I'll tell you, this is a good story in my heart. Riley, my son, said, who would be good? I was looking for an assistant coach at the time, and he said Cade. And I thought about that, and then that same day, Justin McBride called me, and I said, Riley told me that and Justin and I talk about every day, and I said, Riley said that Cade would be a good assistant coach for me. And Justin said, man, that'll be the best. And he thought that was really a good idea. So I'd run it by two young guys that I really look up to their opinion, and I respect their opinion. And I hadn't seen Cade in about a month, and I thought, well, I'll call him tomorrow. And I go into town into Bowie, and I'm going into Tractor Supply, and out comes Cade and Sarah and Knox walking out. And so it was fate. And I told Cade about what I was thinking about, and he called me back about an hour later, pretty excited about it. And it was something that I feel like is bigger than me and bigger than us, and it was meant to be. And so that's kind of how Cade and I got to know each other. And that's how I got to know you, was through him. And I know how good of friends you are with Cade. It named your son after him even.
That's right. Well, and I agree. I think there's always a higher power up there that kind of guides us in the direction we're supposed to go, for sure. And Cade, I again talk to him almost every day and get breakdowns. And now I'll be joining the PBR Teams Broadcast, which I'm still a little nervous about. But to be able to have guys like you and Cade and McBride, people I guess I could lean on to get information, and that's not going to, just beat around the bush, kind of tell me how it is, I think is awesome. And I'm excited for it.
Yeah, and we're excited for you being there. And that's a thing about we're not trying to tear down anything that's already established in rodeo or bull riding or anything like that. We're trying to improve the way we present it to everyone out there. And what I saw last year at Oklahoma City, for instance, Oklahoma City and Fort Worth and area, they've seen a lot of bull riding in their time. And there's good fans there, but they watch a good bull ride and they're like this. They're not that excited because they've seen a lot of that. Well, Oklahoma City was winning their home event in Oklahoma City, and the fans were on their feet for 15 minutes.
Right. In
the whole building. There's the same number of fans, a lot of the same fans that had been there before, but their home team was winning. And their home team is Chase Outlaw from Arkansas, and Briggs Matson from Utah, and Eli Bassbinder from North Carolina. It was not a bunch of local guys. They're still cheering for all the bull riders. Our fans still love all the bull riders, but they got another way to cheer for it. And they were excited about their team winning. And their team won. And when outside the building, going to the parking lot and stuff like that, there was that excitement, just like their college team or their professional team from that town had just won because they had.
Yeah, building the sport and making it fun. And not that it wasn't fun, but you hear guys or people talk about the PBRs. The best time to watch is the last section, because that's kind of when the rides happen and when the best guys go. And not saying they don't ride throughout the event, but with the teams, you have somebody to cheer for in every game. And whether it's your team or the opposing team, there's something to cheer for every game.
There's 4 games a night, and the 4 games are the best. It's the best every time. It's not like, I've heard that before. I heard that was the thing on the PBR was if you waited till the last section or the short go, you got to see all the good stuff. And that is true. Sometimes the best ride might be the first one, but it's more often in teams. The first and even the guys getting bucked off, and a team wins 1 ride to none, it's still a tight competition all the way through the end. And so it's a pretty good one. I mean, I've never thought that we presented bull riding any better than we did in teams.
No, it was good, and there's always a winner. Every game, there's always a winner, and leads me to the next one, the winner stories that you have. And Blaine Jones, I wasn't there when it happened. Run a shoot dog and steer into the fence, cut his hand. You had to take him to the emergency room, and I'll let you carry it on from there.
Yeah, it cut his fingers really bad, and so we kind of wrapped him up a little bit, and I'm going to take him to the emergency. There's no doubt he needs his fingers sewed up, at least. And he was actually in a lot of pain. It kind of ripped him open. So I drive up my pickup up there, and I had a little 1/2-ton pickup that was sitting there, and I just drove it up there, and I said, we'll take that, and we're going to go to Decatur to the emergency room. And Dakota Eldridge says, here, let me give you some ice packs. And so we got his hand wrapped up, and it's bloody and everything. And Dakota hands us these 2 ice packs, and Blaine puts them on, and Blaine's he's almost quivering. He's in so much pain, but he's trying not to let it show. And he's saying, yeah, I'm all right. And we get to driving, and I was driving pretty fast to get to Decatur to get his finger sewed up. And I get to smelling something, and the smell got stronger and stronger. And I think, I know he's in a lot of pain, but I think he shit his pants. And so we get to the hospital, get to the emergency room, and I thought, surely he knows. He walks in there, it smells bad. He walks in there, and so I wait, and they take him back. Well, the little pickup that I was driving was almost out of gas when I got there. And so when they took him back there to look at his fingers, I thought, well, I'll drive up and fill up with gas, and then I won't have to stop on the way home, and he won't have to wait on me. And so I go I get back in that pickup, and I still smell that odor. And I'm looking at the seat to see if something's in. There's nothing there. And then I look in the floorboard, and there's these 2 ice packs, and I noticed they got blood on them and stuff, but it's dried blood. And I get to the store where I'm getting gas, and I got those and threw them in the trash, and the smell went away immediately. And so I got back. So I went back and picked Blaine up, and we drive home, and I tell him about that, and I tell him, I'm sorry, but I thought it was you. And he said he thought it was me. Anyway, I got back, and I said, Dakota, what was on those ice packs? They stunk so bad and I explained to him that I thought Blaine shit his pants. and Dakota said, oh no, he had some elk meat in his freezer that his electricity had gone off of his freezer, and it had spoiled in there, and he cleaned it out, but he didn't take those ice packs out of there, and they'd had a little of that blood on them. Wow, they smelled so bad. I felt bad. I felt bad for Blaine because I drove all the way to Decatur thinking that was him.
He shit his pants and
he's in a lot of pain. He's in a lot of pain.
Oh hell!
And then Blaine was so nice. He was easy. He was an easy target because he's the nicest guy there. So everybody had a little fun with him. We've been teasing him because he messed up at Fort Worth and he stomped on his hat. He got mad. That's right. He stomped his hat, and so we were giving him a hard time about that. And then he tore his fingers up, and then we were telling him about him shitting his pants and stuff. So
we've had some good times out there. I know between the jackpots and hey, speaking of that, is the hot walker still working?
Oh, it works great, and you did a fantastic job on that.
It's still kind of a little cockeyed.
It looks perfect.
Well, I know some of my my later career, some of the best memories I had was on the Lambert Ranch, and some of the best meals I had. Leanne is one hell of a chef.
Well, she learned a lot from you because that's what I thought that was really funny, that you and her be sharing recipes like that, because you're not a bad cook yourself.
I do love that it's the corn with the pepper. I can't remember what it is. I have it in my phone. Trust me, I keep all the recipes in my phone. But then she had an apple thing that she wrapped in croissants and used Sprite or 7-Up. It was the best dessert ever.
absolutely perfect to go with your diabetes.
Well, and now since I've lost weight, I can't really enjoy that as much. But I mean, next time I'm there, I'll still eat it if she cooks it.
You still work. You still manage it. You can still manage dessert, huh?
Yeah, oh yeah, exactly. Well, Cody, thank you so much. Honestly, the memories I had rodeoing and spending time at your guys' place and getting to know you and Leanne and Riley and the family, it's like I said, those are memories that I share with so many people, and that'll never leave me. So I appreciate you coming on. I'm looking forward to the PBR team season this year and Texas Rattlers dominating, getting that championship. And thanks again for coming on.
I'm glad you have a favorite team too, since you're going to be neutral there.
In my contract, it didn't say that.
I appreciate it coming on and talking about this stuff, because it brings back a lot of good memories. And just like I was telling you the last time we talked, I kind of miss those days when the Bulldoggers were staying here, and I'll be glad to see you.
Yeah, likewise. Make sure you keep that chair nice and squishy for me, so next time I come back, it's ready to go.
It's your chair for sure.
All right, thanks, Cody. Have a good one.
Thank you, Luke.
You bet.